Good morning, gang. Happy Sunday morning. It's always nice when you hear some media outlet, if you will, speak positively about the prepper community. It's shocking when you do. It also kind of tells you, what do they know that maybe we don't, that we're preparing for? Maybe there's something in the background that hasn't been made privy to the public yet, but the media already knows what's going on, right? So yesterday I was cruising around the internet last night and ran across a video clip that was on apparently both Fox News and on MSN. Surprised me. Highlighting or featuring a fellow YouTuber, okay? And I was like, all right, I want to listen to this. And she started talking about her pantry and everything and storing food. Now, she's a married mother with 3 kids. Okay, so 5 in a household. And she's talking about growing about 800 pounds of food a year. And I'd say roughly that's about where I come in too. I mean, obviously everything's different depending on what you're growing and how she feeds her family off of it. Okay. And she's talking about how it saves her a ton of money. I will agree. Okay. I just want you to watch this one part of this one clip here from the video. Watch this real quick, because this is what I want to talk about.
Most people will say you don't save any money by preserving your own food. I see it in the comment section all the time. Here is the deal. For a jar of apricot jam at my grocery store, you are looking around $5 per jar for the stuff. I'm going to tell you right now, stuff with ingredients. If you want a nicer jar, you're looking around $7 to $8 a jar. I have over 50 jars. Hello? So you do the math, you decide what works for you. If you want to pay $8 a jar, go right ahead, that's fine. $8 times 50, and then there's your price compared to what I pay or harvest off of our own trees. Saves me a lot of money. But yes, it is a lot of work. A lot of work.
You probably agree. All right. And of course, there are plenty of mental midgets out there who, your garden's a waste of time. You can buy that stuff at the grocery store. What do you buy? You're not saving any money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? We've all heard that. Comes from everybody, the neighbor, the guy at work or whatever. It's too much work. It's too easy to just go to the grocery store. I mean, I told you the story about a neighbor of mine 5 years ago. It says, why do you plant a garden when you can just go to the grocery store? And as my response goes, what happens when you can't? There's always the naysayers out there that say you can't grow enough food, et cetera, right? We've all heard them, that you're not going to do enough. I don't care if it's not, at least at this point right now, if it's not enough that the only thing I'm eating is out of our gardens. I mean, last night for dinner, Mrs. P made tomato soup and with meatballs in it. Garden fresh tomatoes from our garden, garden fresh onions from our garden, rice, God knows we got enough of that, and a pound of ground beef. It's okay. No, I didn't raise the cows, and no, I didn't grow the rice, but the tomatoes and the onions came from our garden. And it was better tasting tomato soup than you're going to get from Campbell's, that was for sure, okay? But it's pretty much every day when we sit down and eat that something on our plate is something we produced. In an SHTF situation, you're not going to eat like you do now. You know that. Everybody knows that. It's not like, we're going to sit down and barbecue steaks and have potato salad and coleslaw on the side with a ear of corn, all right? You're going to be happy with maybe the steak if you're lucky, okay? eventually it'll get to the point where it's like, what's for dinner? Potato salad. That's what we got. But she talks about growing about 800 pounds of food a year. And I'd say roughly that's pretty much where I come in, depending on the year, okay, depending on the crops you're growing. Sure, you're going to get more weight when you grow potatoes or sweet potatoes than you are when you grow peas, for example, in your garden space. So like everybody else, in the last couple of days, I've been harvesting like crazy, and yesterday morning was corn day. All right, most of my corn has come in. All right, so what I wound up getting was about 150 ears of corn, which will turn into about 75 pounds of corn kernels. And when people say, oh, it's not worth it, like in her video clip, as she talked about her apricot jam, about what it costs in the store versus what it costs her to make. All right, let's take a look at my corn. On 75 pounds of corn, mathematically, I should be able to make about 100 or about 1,200 corn tortillas, taco shells. So let's take a look. How much do taco shells cost you, right? And so I looked it up and said, all right, let's see what Kroger charges for Kroger brand taco shells. We're not going to talk about Ortega or something like this, cheap ones. $2.69 for 12 of them. If I can get 1,200 taco shells, that means that corn that I picked yesterday is worth $269 if I went to the store with it. Now, granted, I've got to spend the time processing it. I've got to nixtamalize it. I've got to bake it. And sure, there's going to be some added cost in the fuel that's used, for example, or whatever. But all right, could you use an extra $250? I'd say you could. Last weekend, Mrs. P and I were processing all those plum tomatoes and turning it into tomato sauce. Priced a jar of tomato sauce lately? I mean, even the cheap stuff, the store brand stuff again, will still cost you $4 to $5 a jar, right? Unless you get the real cheap stuff, which has no taste. All right. And I got about 30 jars of it, 30 pints of it. Okay. Usually they come in quarts. All right. So say I got 15 quarts of tomato sauce. Okay. At $5 a piece, that's $75. And you start adding all this up about what you're eating, what you're growing, what you're saving. You can talk all you want about, I'm doing this for SHTF, but you need to rotate that pantry. You need to be eating what you're growing, right? As you grow more tomatoes to make more tomato sauce, you use the tomato sauce that you made last year, right? Most of us practice that. The fun part comes when you grow so much that you don't eat it all in a year. And I have that, I don't want to say problem, but I have that circumstance where it's like we're eating green beans that are still from 2022. Why? Because I got that many green beans. All right, now I needed to plant more. I did sweet potatoes this year because we're still eating sweet potatoes from 2022. If sweet potatoes last me 3 years for what I grow, that means I got to grow them again in 2028. Okay. But all these people that say, oh, planting a garden is a waste of time, that it's not going to help you out, it's not going to do anything for you. It's doing wonders for you now. What do you think it's going to do if things get bad? If shit hits the fan? If parking nuclear submarines off the coast of Russia leads to something bigger? You go back to World War II, and most of us know the stories. Maybe you have senior elderly people in your family who are old enough to remember, but victory gardens, because all the food was being sent to the troops that was produced commercially. So in order for people to have fruits and vegetables, they had to grow it themselves. It was their way of supporting the war effort. They weren't taking what little was at the store. They could go out in the backyard and pick it, right? You look at most of the rest of the world, and how do most people feed themselves? They grow it themselves. Too many people want to live in this urban, suburban life where everything is done for them. I just go to the grocery store and buy whatever I need. And that goes right back into the good times make weak men. Because if it's all too convenient to get the food, you lose the skills to produce it yourself. When you get out and produce it yourself, you know exactly what's in it. You know what chemicals, if any, you sprayed on there. I know my tomato sauce has no preservatives in it. Okay? I know the salt content of it. I can pronounce every ingredient in everything that is on my pantry shelf, because there is no monosodium glutamate or God knows what other chemical put in there to make it look pretty. Okay? It's a hell of a lot more healthy for me. It's a hell of a lot cheaper for me. It's a lot more fun. I mean, I don't know, call it hard work all you want. Oh my God, how sweaty, because God knows I get sweaty out in the garden, okay? Get torn up, eat up by bugs or whatever it is. That doesn't happen at the grocery store. No, it doesn't. But when I sit down to dinner and I look at my plate and I don't know, maybe it's pork chops and Mrs. P's kimchi, and I know everything in that salad right there came from our garden. That's a pretty good feeling. Don't let any of these fools tell you that your garden won't save you, that raising chickens is a waste of time, or pigs or cows or whatever else you do, you know. I mean, on a small scale. I'm not talking about somebody who's a commercial farmer, a commercial rancher. That's a different story. But yeah, that stuff will save you. The ones who are too ignorant to go out and learn how to do it, fine. Enjoy starvation. I'll be having my eggs. I'll be having my toast with jam while you're going, I don't have anything. And I don't care. Pinball out.